That's Girls Aloud and The Promise. Jamie with you on BBC Radio Wales. It's 12 minutes past 10. If you could follow in the footsteps of any famous explorer, I wonder who it would be. Hugh James is a scientist and explorer from Blackwood. Next year, he plans to follow one of Captain James Cook's scientific explorations. He's with me now. Hugh, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Jamie. How are you?
Very good. Good to see you. I mean, what is the scientific pull to the Pacific for you and so many explorers going back through history?
Well, it kind of started off in the 1600s, really, because the Venus transit, which we're going to see next year, isn't visible from all around the world. Only specific places on specific years. 4 times every 243 years, so every 120 years or so, it happens in pairs. So you can't see it from everywhere. So last one, in 2004, you could see from the UK. But the next one, next year, you can't see from the UK in its entirety.
And what is the Venus transit?
It's where Venus, which is the planet that's next in closest to the sun than us, goes in front of the disk of the sun. So imagine like a solar eclipse is where the moon passes in front of the sun. This is just where Venus passes in front of the sun.
And Captain James Cook went off on this very same journey. What do we know of his journey to get there? Do you know?
Well, his one started in the 1760s, and he saw it in 1769. And there was loads of different reasons about why he went. The Royal Society sent him alongside the Royal Navy. A lot of secret things going on with Captain Cook's expedition. But the reason he went, and he went from Southampton down to Funchal in Madeira, down around Cape Horn in South America, and across to Tahiti in the Pacific, which is a really tiny island. And he had to sail across there with no GPS, that's for sure. And he had to sail across there to view this Venus transit, so the scientists on board could take the contact times, which is where Venus touches the limbs of the sun, so that they could work out the distance to the sun from that.
I mean, that journey in some ways must have been absolute hell. I mean, when you think of the conditions on board, the proximity to other people, the rarity of fresh produce, I mean, it couldn't have been the easiest of journeys. A journey into the unknown almost.
Definitely, yeah, it was definitely an unknown. It was more an unknown than we're going to do, although there's lots of unknowns on this expedition so far. But his ship was only 32 metres by 10 metres wide, so it wasn't a very big ship. There's lots of them on board. Around that time, a lot of them would kind of get coerced into being on board by getting drunk in bars and then knocked over the head and kind of kidnapped onto the ship.
Press-ganged almost.
Exactly, yeah. So there was a lot of that going on at the time, a lot of dysentery and things like that. There was a guy, a French chap called Guillaume Le Gentil, who did a similar expedition for the 1761 transit and the 1769. In 1761, he was going to Pondicherry in India, and as he got there, it was a bit of a war going on at the time, so he didn't get to view that. He was out at sea when the transit was going on. So I don't know if you tried looking through a telescope on a ship. I haven't, but I imagine it's quite difficult. And then he thought, I'll stick around. I'll wait 8 years till the next transit, and then I'll view that one as well. So he went somewhere else, set up his observatory, and it was cloudy, so he couldn't see anything at all. But that wasn't even the end of the story for him. On his way back, they got dysentery, a little bit of scurvy on board as well. And when he got back to France 2 years later, his wife had remarried. He'd been declared dead, and also his whole estate had been split up between his brothers and sisters. So he didn't have the best time on this expedition, I don't think.
Well, that's the historic expeditions. What about yours? Tell us about yours. Tell us about how you're going to get there and the journey. You could fly there, presumably, relatively quickly.
We could, yeah, and we could go to lots of different places. It's only visible from anywhere around the Pacific Rim. So in the middle of the Pacific is the best place for it, but anywhere around the Pacific Rim will work as well. So we could just fly out, but we thought, originally I wanted to get a sailboat and kind of sail across to Tahiti in the same way that Captain Cook did, but it turns out we can't see the entire transit from Tahiti this time around anyway. So we thought what we'd do is we'd get 2 4x4s and we'd drive from Cardiff across land, across Europe, the Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, China, across to probably Japan, and view the transit from there. And my life so far has been all about building vehicles to talk about science and its worth in society, and how important it is for us to have science, technology, engineering, and maths. And this is just one of those ways that I feel that we should convey the importance of science.
I was about to say that sounds like a more comfortable journey, but in many ways it won't be, actually, will it? I mean, you're going to be passing through some rather troubled parts of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like England,
Yes.
to start off with. So yeah, we'll drive across. I think we'll floor it for the first couple of weeks, because we've only got 2 months. We start off in April of next year. We need to be there by June 5th or 6th. That's when the transit happens all around the world. So we've got 2 months, and the transit's not going to wait for anyone. Venus is going to pass in front of the sun on that date at that time, whatever happens. So we need to make sure we're there. Ready for it.
The world is a different place in the sense that you now have a world that is mapped, and you have GPS, you have mobile phones.
Google Maps.
Google Maps. I mean, the world is perhaps an easier place for the 21st century explorer.
I think, well, it brings up different troubles, I think, because of the whole political unrest in different parts of the world. The things that we worry about now are, in fact, different to what they would have worried about back then. Definitely, we know where we're going to go. I kind of drew a line across the world and said, that's where we're going to go. We're going to just drive. But yeah, there's other things nowadays that change things, like how we're going to do the expedition, what we're going to do them in, what 4x4s we're going to take, what we're going to do along the way, the technology that we're going to use to make sure that this expedition is sent back to the UK and everyone can interact with it and make it purposeful as well. So yeah, we got different troubles along the way.
So when you get there, what will you see? I know most people listening to this won't have seen it before. So
Yeah.
what will you see when you look into the heavens?
Well, some people might have seen it back in 2004, because University of Glamorgan and a few others put on lots of special events, and you could see it all morning last year. We were lucky enough that in Treforest and Blackwood and a few other places, the clouds parted just before it started. But if you've got a good solar telescope, or all you need really is a good pair of solar glasses. They're a bit like those cheapy cardboard 3D glasses that you get with the blue and the red eyes in them. But these ones are specially designed to cut out 99.9999% of the light, so that you don't hurt your eyes when you're looking at the sun. You should never look at the sun bare-eyed, that's for sure, or through any kind of binocular or telescope without certain filters on it. But if you've got all the right stuff, I mean, solar glasses cost about $3.99, I think. You can get them offline. You can actually see a little circle of Venus passing in front of the disk of the sun. It takes about 6 hours or so. You can see this little disk move from one side of the sun to the other. It's quite a spectacular event. This is the last time anyone will get to see it until 2117. So no one alive today will ever see this again. So it's quite important to us.
And it must have enchanted those ancient explorers who must have wondered what they were looking at.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the first one anyone ever saw was about in the recorded was back in 1639, around about a guy called Jeremiah Horrocks from Liverpool and William Crabtree from Manchester. And they were the first ones to record it. And the purpose of them recording it, and then Captain Cook going out to take these contact times in the 1760s, was because you can work out the distance to the sun using something called parallax, which is a relatively easy concept. If you hold out, and everyone kind of at home can do this, and the guys in there as well, if you hold out your thumb in front of you and then close one eye, then close the other eye, you can see relative to the background, your thumb moves back and forth. And this is one of the ways that they used to work out the distance to the sun back in the 1600s, 1700s. Without the Venus transit, we wouldn't know how far away the sun is, how far away Venus is, how far away the rest of the planets are. So it was a really important expedition for Captain Cook to go on, definitely.
And it's always one of the jokes, isn't it, in astrology on programmes like The Sky at Night. There's always that phrase, on a clear night. I mean, how sure can you be when you get there that you will see it?
Well, when we were first talking about the expedition, we were going to go to a place called Sakhalin, which is just north of Japan. But we found out after that when the Japanese were arranging their attack on Pearl Harbor, that they did it from Sakhalin because 360 days out of 365 they could guarantee cloud cover over Sakhalin. So we thought that's probably not the best place to go to. We'll go a bit further south. So Japan, I think is going to be quite a good bet. I need to have a proper look at the precipitation charts just to make sure for definite that that's where we're going to be. But all around the world now, there's going to be live feeds from the European Space Agency. NASA will have live feeds in everyone, and hopefully we'll send the live feed back to museums and science centres around the UK for everyone to see.
So we don't have to travel out there. We can
We'll
all
do
see
that
it from the
for
comfort
you.
of our homes. What do you do with the information once you've gathered it? I mean, of what use is it?
Well, the use of what it used to be was that we could work out the distance to the sun. Obviously, now we've got things like satellites and radar to work that out, and we know it within something ridiculous like 20 meters, the distance to the sun, which is crazy. So we can't. I'm not going to go out and try and find out a better distance to the sun and challenge NASA for that. But what we want to do is inspire people. We want this to be the main aim of this is an educational expedition. We're going to log data along the way, like light pollution and air pollution, temperatures and things, and send all that data back to schools around the UK and around Wales. And then we're going to, when we're there, send a live stream back, take all the contact times when Venus touches the limbs of the sun, and we can send that back as well. And this, you can enter that onto Venus Transit websites, little calculators, and you can work out your own distance to the sun using those contact times as well. So it's more of an inspirational trip than it is to find out new discoveries.
And where did your inspiration come from? Have you always been fascinated in astronomy?
I have actually. It sounds quite sad to say. No, I don't know if it's sad to say, but I've always been. I think for my 10th Christmas, I asked my mum and dad for a telescope off of QVC. Actually, that's where I got my first telescope from, was QVC. So I've always had that interest in astronomy, and when I went to college then and on to university, I started in Glamorgan University with astronomy and space science and geology, and then switched to major in astronomy and space science as well. Then I went to work for TechniQuest in the planetariums, and then just started in science communication. It's taken me a while to get around from generic science back to astronomy, but I'm sure I'm glad that I'm back in it now, because it's a fascinating subject. It really is, and it's something that everyone can do as well. You can walk out, and I just set up, we're working with a company called Mission Explore, which encourages people to go out and explore more things, especially kids. And we're setting up missions with them where you can just go out and find the 3 brightest stars in the sky. And by doing that, you find out loads more patterns, and you find out that some of those stars aren't actually stars, they're planets. At the moment, Jupiter is the brightest thing in the sky by far. So if you go out and look east or southeast at night, like you say, on a clear night, then Jupiter will be the thing that you see across winter. So there's loads you can find out just from looking up on a clear night.
Well, we wish you every success. It's
Thank
going to
you
be
very much.
the most wonderful journey, and we look forward to keeping in touch with you on your way there. And
Fingers crossed.
we'll certainly talk to you when you arrive. And bon voyage and good luck and all the rest of it.
Thank you very much, Jamie.
Hugh James, the scientist and explorer.
From doctors saving lives
You walk down here sometimes, you might see a very pretty girl walking towards you, and as she turns round, you see a knife sticking out of her back and blood everywhere. It takes a little bit of getting used to.
to a doctor saving time. It's where Upstairs Downstairs
This is the house, and I can see the hall in there. Can we go in?
Please do.
meets Pobble Come.
As actors, we're going to have a sense of community. And I think that, gosh, I feel as if I'm actually in Cwm Derry rather than on a set.
Nicola Hayward-Thomas visits the new BBC Wales Drama Village.
How exciting is this?
Wednesday at 7 on your BBC Radio Wales.